Morning, guys. How you doing? So Mr. Wall here again. We're doing English to begin with. All right. So here is that long-awaited point that you guys have been anxiously waiting, right? Where Jackie Robinson actually is breaking the color barrier. All right. So what you're going to read today, we're going to start for 26 and 27. Have to deal with the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, Branch Rickey. And he was an interesting guy, a lot like Jackie, in that he was kind of a firm believer in his own beliefs and would stand by what he had to do to get them to be accomplished. Was a very progressive thinker. And while some other general managers of teams had tried to integrate and to allow black and white players to play in the major leagues previously, none of them were successful. Branch Rickey, interesting guy. I mean, had a law degree, played professional baseball while he was in college. Steadfast, very religious guy, didn't drink. So he was serious enough that people thought he would be the guy to get it done. And it turns out that he was. So you're going to get a little background on him on page 26 and 27. And then 28 and 29, you start to see why was Jackie Robinson the specific guy to be chosen to be the first African-American man to integrate professional baseball. So we're kind of getting to that. And so what I want you guys to do, we looked at this 2 days ago, but this idea of kind of finding evidence and backing it up, identifying an opinion, finding evidence that supports that opinion, all right? We're going to be doing that again today. So it's a graphic organizer you guys have already used before. I'll walk you through that after I've done the reading. So I'm going to read it through you once. I just want you guys to listen along, follow along to get the gist of what it's all about. Then you're going to come back in, and you're really just going to focus on page 28 and 29 and the graphic organizer to fill that out. All right, and that's your work for today. And then this afternoon, we'll go over today's work and yesterday's English work. All right, so yesterday's English work, you were picking one of the two timelines based on your number on the attendance sheet, and you're just going to kind of give basically gist statements, put it in your own words, what's going on. All right, so I'll start on the reading now. All right, we're going to start again on 26, all right, and 27. So with the country delicately balanced toward change and baseball under pressure to set the pace, someone within the executive ranks of baseball had to commit to breaking the color barrier. A couple of baseball owners had tried to be pioneers before 1945, but were unsuccessful. Then, with exquisite timing, Branch Rickey, president and general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, stepped forward. He was just the man for the job. And this is Branch Rickey right here. Wesley Branch Rickey was born December 20th, 1881, in Stockdale, Ohio. He played baseball as a young boy in the Ohio countryside. Rickey attended Ohio Wesleyan University. Summers, he helped support himself by playing semi-pro baseball. Even as a young man, Branch Rickey had strong values and firm beliefs. For example, while a student at Ohio Wesleyan, he began playing Major League Baseball for the Cincinnati Reds. He refused to play games on Sundays because it was against his religious principles. Rickey was released from the team for taking this stand. From that point on, he had a clause written into all of his baseball contracts stating that he did not have to report to the ballpark on Sundays. After Rickey graduated from Ohio Wesleyan, he went to law school, worked as an athletic director and baseball coach, and played big league ball for the St. Louis Browns and the New York Highlanders. In his spare time, he lectured against legalizing alcohol. Rickey went on to manage the St. Louis Browns and Cardinals, the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the Pittsburgh Pirates. In 1942, Branch Rickey was named president of the Brooklyn Dodgers. A year later, he went on to board the members of the Dodger Club and told them that he wanted to recruit players from Negro League teams. The board wasn't surprised. Rickey was well known for bold moves. During World War II, he replaced seasoned ball players who were off fighting in Europe with boys as young as 15. In the 1930s, Rickey built baseball's farm system, which today is called the minor leagues. When Rickey first proposed integrated baseball, the commissioner of baseball at the time, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, was firmly against it. Landis died on November 24, 1944, and the new commissioner, A.B. Happy Chandler, took the opposite position and said, "I don't believe in barring Negroes from baseball just because they are Negroes." Branch Rickey agreed. There were two basic reasons why Branch Rickey wanted to break baseball's color line. First, he deeply believed in equality and thought it was unfair to keep blackballed players out of the major leagues. Second, he wanted to build the strongest team that would win games and excite the fans. Rickey knew that the talent pool in the Negro Leagues was too tempting for a smart businessman to ignore. Branch Rickey took a year preparing to bring blackball players into the major leagues. He knew that success depended on finding the man who'd be right on and off the field. Rickey studied the field using scouts to explore the pool of ball players. There were many Negro League players who were well-known and proven professional baseball players. Players such as Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson certainly headed the list provided by Mr. Rickey's scouts. Branch Rickey studied the reports, listened to his scouts, and talked with black sports writers. They universally agreed my father not only had the ability to play on a major league level, but was the right man to pioneer the integration of Major League Baseball. Still, Rickey's decision was not an easy one. So what was it that really swayed him? What convinced him to take the risk with Jackie Robinson? All right, so this is something I want you guys to kind of have in the back of your head. Why Jackie Robinson? All right, that's the kind of thing I want you to focus on in the second half of the reading. All right, so why my father? On August 28, 1945, my father, who was playing baseball for the Negro League's Kansas City Monarchs, met Branch Rickey to discuss playing for the Dodgers. There were many reports but few eyewitnesses to this historic meeting, which took place at Branch Rickey's office in Brooklyn, New York. Rickey knew all about my father's extraordinary athletic ability and that he had successfully played on integrated teams in college. What he didn't know much about was the kind of person my dad was. So before Rickey set up a face-to-face meeting, he called out to California to speak with people who knew my dad. He learned that Dad had been raised in a religious home by a mother whose values matched Rickey's own. He heard that Dad was a serious guy who didn't drink. He also heard that Dad was an aggressive competitor with a fiery temper. Rickey must have liked Dad's strong personality, but I'm sure he wondered how pressure would affect his playing. Nonetheless, he sent his scout, Clyde Suckforth, out with instructions to bring Jackie Robinson to Brooklyn. According to newspapers, magazines, books, and movies, Branch Rickey and my dad eyed each other cautiously during the warm-up discussion. Rickey launched into a series of questions that were less about baseball and more about character. Did he have a girl? The Dodgers president wanted to know. Dad looked Rickey straight in the eye and explained that he was engaged and hoped to marry when he had a job. Satisfied that my father would have a supportive partner, Rickey went on to talk about the need for my dad to hold back his anger, control his impulse to strike back, and play extraordinary ball in spite of fear. My father listened carefully. He felt excited, scared, and thrilled by the opportunity to play in the big leagues. Rickey jumped into a monologue where he quickly shifted roles from that of a racist fan to a spiteful teammate. He taunted my dad with angry, mean insults. My father leaned forward, hands fisted, feet planted firmly on the ground. I can only imagine the thoughts that must have run through his mind. This was more than just a chance to play in the majors. It was a chance to avenge the racism of his boyhood, to help right injustice. Rickey was offering my father a terrific opportunity and a tremendous responsibility. Dad was prepared athletically. He had the support of a loving woman and a steadfast mother. He'd matured over the years. He had his faith, but would he hold back his anger for the sake of the mission? The role-playing ceased. My father eased back in his chair, unclenched his hands, and met Branch Rickey's steely gaze with confidence and determination. Rickey asked if he could stand the pressure. Would he control his temper against verbal and even physical attacks? Dad didn't respond immediately. The same question was on his mind. He wasn't used to backing down when attacked. Rickey made it clear to my father that the first 3 years would be critical. For the sake of racial equality, he had to adopt a non-violent approach to change. All right, and that non-violent, I want you guys to underline that and put it into your glossary. All right, so you're going to define that. Non-violent, all right, approach to change. My father agreed. Branch Rickey knew he'd chosen the right man. He knew that Dad had both the self-control and the courage to succeed. He and my father shook hands on a verbal agreement. The noble experiment began. All right, so that phrase, the noble experiment, I'd also like you to define. All right, so your glossary, you're just adding 2 words, all right, or 2 expressions, nonviolent, all right, and the noble experiment, okay? And what you're going to do, all right, I'll show you the graphic organizer now, but you're basically going to think about Sharon Robinson's opinion, okay, and where we can find evidence supporting it. All right, so Sharon Robinson, all right, what is Sharon Robinson, what's her opinion about Jackie Robinson's ability to integrate baseball, all right? And remember, integrate means to have black and white players playing together, all right? So the way the major leagues is now. So why is Jackie Robinson the right guy? What is it that his ability that makes him the right guy for that? That's the question I want you to be thinking about. All right, and so with the graphic organizer, I'm going to send this to you with the instructions anyways, but I just want you to look at it again. All right, it's this organizer you guys have used before. All right, so your author's opinion. So here, all right, you're going to tell me what Sharon Robinson, why does she think that her dad was the right guy? All right, and then here, all right, why does the author believe that? The reasoning, all right, and then you're going to back it up with evidence. All right. And then I have these instructions basically here to you, all right? I know you're not working with group members. If those of you that are communicating over the phone, that's fine. You can absolutely do this in pairs, all right? But this is something you can do individually. So when it says discuss, feel free to talk to your parents about it if you want, all right? But I trust your opinions on this, okay? So I'll be sending this to you guys shortly, all right? With regard to the writing, all right, I am still in the midst of doing edits, so I want you guys to take the time that you would normally be watching a writing lesson, all right, to work on those edits as they come through to you, okay? Tomorrow, I want to try to use the Zoom to really talk about any questions you guys have specifically about your work, and then you're done, all right? Then any of those edits and the edits I've sent to you, you send back to me on Friday. Even if you've made no edits, just send it back to me on Friday, okay? And if we can get all that done, then you guys are done with the work for this week, all right? We're still working out how we're going to do the presentation and whatnot, but I don't think that's going to be happening this week, all right, unless Rabbi says something different, all right? So shoot me an email if you guys have any questions, all right? And I will see you at 4:30 to go over English for today and yesterday.